and welcome to Leo Gaming. Today I'm going to do a video review for Far Cry 3 Classic Edition on the Xbox One. Now this is about a group of friends that are sort of extreme junkies or extreme sport or adrenaline junkies that go seeking adrenaline on these islands called Rook Islands. They end up all getting captured by a group of pirates with a head leader, bad guy named Vass. And basically, you and your character end up breaking out at the start of the game, and your brother, who gets shot while you're trying to escape. You manage to escape, and you join the rebels on the island called the Rakyat. And they basically challenge you to try and clear the islands of the pirates and also rescue your friends who are locked up in various places around the island. So let's start with the story. It's an absolutely fantastic story campaign. That's basically what this game is about. Headed up by this bad guy Vass, who's an absolutely fantastic played character. I would class him as like an unpredictable sociopath or psychopath, should I say. He's that sort of bloke that you could be chatting to as your best friend one minute, and the next he's got a gun to your head, sort of thing. And he's also supported by an absolutely great or superb main actors who are all acted absolutely fantastic. Because of all this, it makes you engaged with the characters and rooting for them, including the main bad guy. Because as you progress through the story, you sort of find out about his past, and you sort of end up feeling sorry for him. So it's a really, really absolutely immersive story. They could have, however, made the NPCs, the ones that dish out the side missions, a bit more exciting, but as standard, NPCs that dish out side missions are always crap. Even in 2020, I mean, this game was back in 2012. It's now 2020, and even games now still have crap NPCs that dish out side missions, but that's just how it is. Moving on to the environment and the world, I would describe the world as a lush tropical paradise named, obviously, Rook Islands. They're very impressive visually. You do get, for the time, I would say, you do get a mixture of coastal areas, almost tropical rainforest type areas. I say almost, they're obviously not as dense and as large as what you would get in real life, and also not as lived in. So don't expect sort of a whole flourishing lived in sort of rainforest area. You also have historic sites, which adds to the history in a visual aspect. You can come across like some ancient ruins or some old Second World War weapons that the Japanese used. You do get, though, however, some very sparse areas. I noticed if you go from point A to point B, you get some very open, sparse areas that don't really have much in it except the animals that are in that area. Whether this was deliberate or not, but if you look at the map, you get an animal in every area, and they're all right next to each other. I'm just wondering whether they did this to pad out what's going on between each area. It just felt very empty sometimes. But an old game. You also obviously have your pirate camps, your random shacks scattered about with all sorts of loot, and you get some caves as well where you find relics and also loot and any collectibles you might come across. Moving on to the gameplay and mission design. The main story missions vary. That's to be expected. It's a story campaign. You sort of expect every mission to be different. Side missions I found are okay. They're not brilliant. They get a bit repetitive and dull after a while. For example, for some reason, towards the start, everyone's daughter, something happening to everyone's daughter. I mean, I had quite a few side missions where a daughter's gone missing, or a daughter had been kidnapped by a boyfriend, or was about to be killed. That seemed to happen quite a bit. So, and also there was another one where I had to collect some dead Japanese soldiers' dog tags and return them to the NPC who asked for them, so he can give the bodies back to their families, but that's a bit strange considering you're only collecting dog tags. Surely you'd want the body as well, but that's how it is. You also get bulletin board quests, hunting, and what I call, they're called dead quests, but I call them assassination quests. So basically, the hunting is you go to point A, collect weapon, go to point B, hunt the animal, collect the skin, job done. Um, and you get two ways of doing that. They'll either ask you to kill five of a certain specific amount of a certain animal, for example, 5 deer or 1 tiger. Obviously, depending on how hard the animal is to kill. You also get the dead quests, which I call assassination quests. Basically, you get a little backstory. You know, a group of pirates have overtaken a fisherman's village, in which they are extorting money or intimidating the fishermen. So you've got to go out and eliminate or stealth kill, knife kill the leader. You do that. It's okay. Basically, it's an assassination, and this supposedly, once you've done this, it supposedly ups your standing with the Rakyat, obviously the rebel group that you're trying to prove yourself to. You don't really notice that. That's just words as far as I can see. When as I'm playing it, you don't really notice any different, and you obviously gain some XP and a bit of money. But I personally think there should be a skill point involved in that. I mean, we'll go through that in a bit. I also feel that they should have made these quests more relevant to the world itself. For example, the hunting, rather than just doing a go hunt the animal in the middle of a field and kill it, it should have been more like, I don't know, a couple of tigers are rampaging through a village, attacking all the villages. You need to go and sort it out. Give it a bit of a story, a bit of some reason as to why you're doing it. Um, that would have made it a bit more exciting for me anyway. I think that would have given it a bit more relevance to the world itself. Moving on to controls, I found that the moving about as standard between yourself, running around and walking is fine, absolutely fine. Also, going up, you can lose a bit of health by basically going up any hills or mountainsides. I found that to navigate your way up by walking or running, if the area is flat, you can't walk it, you'll just slide straight back down. If it's got a bit of grass coming out of it, use that as your pathway to go up. And also be careful coming down, because any small little drop that you jump from, you will lose 2 bars of damage, which is a bit steep, but steep, you get it? But yeah, you lose 2 bars of health from that. Also, when you get attacked by the animals, it is a bit, I would say, a bit slow. Suddenly, your character becomes so slow. I just get killed so many times by tigers or dogs or rabid dogs or dingoes, because your character takes so long to aim at them. You kind of have to run away. Even then, you run away about 300 yards, turn around, and it's 10 foot behind you. I mean, I've been killed so many times. They could have made either the animals less chasing after you, or you're locked on a lot more automatic when you aimed at the animal, rather than it's going all over the place. But that's one annoyance about this game. Um, Driving a vehicle, I would say driving a car is okay when you're on the road again, but as soon as you go off road, the camera absolutely goes bonkers. You go all over the place. I mean, I'm not a great fan of first person open world games like this, but I mean, I'm more of a sort of first person survival horror gamist. I think with this, when you're walking about, being first person is fine, but when you go in the car and you go off road, suddenly the camera's all over the place. Absolutely all over the place. I mean, I've gone over down steep cliffs and all sorts when you go off road, because you can't see where you're going. The camera's bouncing all over the place, and I don't know. They should have made the camera sensitivity a bit less, a bit easier, or bring the camera when you're going into a vehicle. Bring the camera out to third person. I think would have been better for the game, but that's my personal opinion. A lot of people still like to play the game in first person, vehicle or no vehicle. Moving on to no, actually, so I carry on with controls. Shooting. I do find that the shooting felt very satisfying, especially when taking on enemies. The sound of the bullets hitting the enemies and when they drop actually is quite satisfying. Don't expect a massive choice of weapons. Um, this is not, you're not going to find a Division style sort of customization, although to do with that, you can buy skins, in-game currency, buy skins, because obviously this is a day before microtransactions. You can buy weapon skins, which is okay, not a massive choice, but it's 2012 we're talking about. I mean, I use one assault rifle, one sniper rifle, one handgun, and I use the recurve bow for my hunting. I like to do a bit of hunting when I want to craft. Um, you don't get much of a choice of weapons. I mean, overall, in the whole game, you get 4 assault rifles, 3 sniper rifles, 3 handguns, one bow, and obviously you get your specials, your LMGs and rocket launchers and flamethrowers and stuff like that. But you don't get a massive selection, so don't again expect like a division style weapon selection and customization. That just ain't gonna happen. Um, Moving on to the sound, I do find the soundtrack good. The environmental ambience of the game very good. The sound of the weapons, explosions, etc. Sounds of the enemies, I think, are very is very good. One bad bit of the audio on this game is the sounds of the animals. If you're walking along through the sort of jungle, through the open, you'll suddenly hear a growl of a tiger or a woof of a rabid dog or something. You'll hear an animal, but it sounds like it's so. It doesn't sound like it's within the environment. It actually sounds more like it's it's been pasted on top of the ambient sound. So, and because it's almost like you hear a growl of a tiger, then it cuts out suddenly, and it just sounds like it's not a part of the game. It sounds like it's been added on and pre-recorded. It just sounds really bad. It really annoyed me. Because normally with modern games now, if you hear a growl of an animal, you kind of get a gist of what angle it's coming from because your speakers will play it in a certain way. Whereas this is obviously 2012, so you didn't kind of have that sort of environmental sounds back then. So it just sounds really bad, and you're sort of looking around wondering where the tiger's coming from, and you ain't got a clue, and it just sounds really bad. um, so that's my personal opinion on it, anyway. Um, So overall, I mean, I would say this is a decent game for the time. You will see the age in it in terms of mechanics and the padding out of the game. There's not a lot to do really. Well, there is. I mean, there's a few bits to do, but it's not in depth stuff. Um, you know, it's Oh, actually, tell a lie. We have got also crafting. I forgot about that. Crafting as well. You use your animal skins that you hunt for crafting accessories, weapon pouches, weapon slots. You get 4 weapon slots all in all, which you got to upgrade your rucksack using animal skins, and you use the flowers to craft medicinal syringes and drug syringes enhance different parts of your performance within game, um, which is very basic. The crafting is very basic. Don't expect no Red Dead 2 type in-depth crafting system because you ain't going to get it. um, it's like I say, it's very basic stuff. So yeah, overall, I would say the game is decent enough. Like I say, you see the age in terms of mechanics and the padding out. Ubisoft can't really win in modern day games they make. We all moaning about, how they put too much in, and then I play Far Cry 3, and suddenly I'm like, there's not enough to do, or it's not in depth enough. You know, the side missions aren't. See, that's another thing. The side missions aren't related to the main story. That's what I like. With things like Assassin's Creed, you'll notice that the side missions relate to the main story of what's going on in the world at that current time, which this doesn't do that. This is just completely separate side missions that just are time consuming, really, or XP orientated. And you also, in the menu, also have a skill tree. The skill tree is absolute shite, I will be honest with you. It is an absolute crap. It's not really a skill tree; it's a skill list. Basically, you unlock a skill on the list, should I say, after each main mission. But then you gain a skill point every 1,000 XP. Now you can only spend that one skill point on the only skill you have unlocked, and that is it. You can't. There's no. You can't. Don't expect to build any character customization. You can't build your character in a certain way. That ain't going to be happening. Also in this game, um, they're just very basic skills. Nothing extraordinary or out of the. None of this modern day Assassin's Creed skill tree you're going to get. um, so yeah, I do. Like I say, I do think this game's good if you're new to Far Cry and you want to try Far Cry out for the first time. Is it the best game in the series? No, I wouldn't say it is. For the time, it was mind blowing, but they've had better ones out since then. Um, and I also think buy this game if you want to play them all before Far Cry 6 comes out. That's the sort of thing like I do really. So once I've done this, I'll play Far Cry 4. But as a game as a whole, it's worth a buy. I bought it for about £8 from the Xbox store. The Ubisoft publisher sale. So that's really it's a good enough game. It's still immersive and engaging enough. I mean, this is basically a story game. The whole thing is based on a story. I mean, that's the best thing about it, really. Um, and the environment looks pretty good as well. But again, like I say, for the time, it can see the age a little bit, but it still looks good enough. It still looks good enough. So I would say, go for it and give this game a buy. And that is my personal review on this game. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons as I'm trying to build up my subscribers. Let me know any comments, any videos you want. Also, like some videos so I can see which ones I liked or which ones I can do similar. Um, that's all I'm looking for, really. I just want to make sure that I'm doing videos that people want or people like, and also build up my subscribers. So again, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon. Thank you very much.